Hello students, I welcome you all to today's lesson. Today we will talk about seeds. ਕੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਦੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਬੀਜ ਜਾਂ ਸੀਡ ਨੂੰ ਧਿਆਨ ਨਾਲ ਵੇਖਿਆ ਹੈ? ਜਿਵੇਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਠੰਡ ਤੋਂ ਬਚਾਉਣ ਲਈ ਕੋਟ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਹੋ, ਠੀਕ ਉਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਫਲਾਵਰਿੰਗ ਪਲਾਂਟਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੀਡ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਟੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਲਈ ਵੀ ਸੀਡ ਕੋਟ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ. Seeds are fertilized mature ovules which are the result of sexual reproduction in plants. Not all plants produce seeds, but those that do often rely on these seeds to have a copy of themselves. These seeds are of immense biological and economic importance. They contain food reserves in the form of protein, starch, and oil. These reserves help in the early stages of growth and development of the plant. These food reserves also make various cereals and legumes. Major food source for consumption by animals including humans. Seed is the reproductive structure in plants that consists of a plant embryo, usually accompanied by storage of food in endosperm, which are produced during fertilization and enclosed in a protective coat. Seed is the ripened ovule in gymnosperms and angiosperms. Seeds are formed after fertilization of ovule. The formation of the seed completes the process of reproduction in seed-bearing plants with the embryo developed from the zygote and the seed coat from the integument of the ovule. These seeds also come in different shapes and sizes and are fitted within the outer coating of the fruit. They can be hard or soft, smooth or corrugated, single colored or multicolored, and large or small. Some are minute and are visible only under a microscope. For example, orchids. Fruits are the protective coverings around the seeds. Students, seed ਇੱਕ mature fertilized ovule ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ. ਇਸ ਵਿੱਚ seed embryo ਅਤੇ nutrient rich tissues ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ endosperm ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ. Embryo ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ miniature root ਅਤੇ shoot ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ. ਜਦੋਂ ਤੋਂ seed ਇੱਕ seed coat ਵਿੱਚ enclose ਅਤੇ protect ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਇਸ ਦੀ further development ਰੁਕ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਇਹ dormant ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ. Now that you have learnt about seeds, let us try to find out what a seed really is. It will help you to know how the parts of a seed work together to form a new plant.
Structure of a seed. The outer covering of a seed is called the seed coat. The seed coat helps to protect the embryo from injury and drying out. The seed coat is two-layered. The outer seed coat is called testa. The testa is hard and leathery. The inner seed coat is called tegmen. Tegmen is thin and membranous. The outer surface of the seed shows a scar or mark of attachment with the seed stalk. It is called hilum. At one end of the hilum is present a micropyle. Micropyle is a small pore. It is through the micropyle that the seed absorbs water. Inside the seed is a tiny embryo surrounded by stored food. The embryo is an immature plant from which a new plant grows when suitable environmental conditions are available to the seed. The embryo of the seed is differentiated into plumule radicle, and is surrounded by cotyledons, which represent the stored food reserves. The plumule is the embryonic shoot, that is, when elongated, it gives rise to aerial shoot. The radicle is the embryonic root, that is, when elongated, it gives rise to primary root. The embryo has one cotyledon or seed leaf in monocotyledons, two cotyledons in almost all dicotyledons, and two or more in gymnosperms. The cotyledons will give food to the young plant until the plant develops its first true leaves. These new leaves will be able to produce all the food the adult plant needs to grow and mature. The portion of the embryo above the point of attachment of cotyledons to embryo axis is called apicotyl. The portion of the embryo below the point of attachment of cotyledons to embryo axis is called as hypocotyl. Mature seeds contain an endosperm or albumin or nutritive tissue which surrounds the embryo.
ਬੱਚਿਓ, ਸੀਡ ਵਿੱਚ ਐਂਡੋਸਪਰਮ ਟਿਸ਼ੂ ਤੋਂ ਡਿਰਾਈਵ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਭੋਜਨ ਵੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਭੋਜਨ ਜਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਐਜ਼ ਇਟ ਇਜ਼ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਡਾਈਜੈਸਟ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਕੋਟਿਲਿਡਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਟੋਰ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਸੇ ਲਈ ਕੋਟਿਲਿਡਨਸ ਫੂਡ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਸ ਦੇ ਕਾਰਨ ਥਿਕ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ। Seeds that possess a special food storage tissue called the endosperm are said to be endospermic or albuminous seeds. For example, maize, wheat, and castor seeds. Those seeds which lack a prominent endosperm and store their reserves in large cotyledons are called exalbuminous or non-endospermic seeds. Most legumes like beans and peas have large cotyledons due to storage of food. Students, ਜਦੋਂ ਐਮਬਰੀਓ ਉਗਣਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਰੂਟਸ ਡਾਊਨਵਰਡ ਅਤੇ ਸਟੈਮ ਅਪਵਰਡ ਗਰੋ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਸਟੈਮ ਧਰਤੀ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਦੋ ਟਰੂ ਲੀਵਸ ਬਣਦੇ ਹਨ ਅਤੇ ਪਲਾਂਟ ਆਪਣਾ ਭੋਜਨ ਆਪ ਬਣਾਉਣਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ। When plants get sufficient water, sunlight and proper minerals in the soil, they grow and start manufacturing food and give off oxygen. Basically, what happens is that when conditions are suitable for germination, the seed takes in water through its micropyle. The tissues absorb water and swell, and the testa becomes soft. The radicle grows first, pushing through the testa and entering the soil. Next, either the hypocotyl or the epicotyl, depending on the species, starts to elongate and carry the plumule upwards through the soil. Elongation of the epicotyl brings the embryo out from between the cotyledons and through the soil, leaving the cotyledons below in the ground. Elongation of the hypocotyl brings the cotyledons and the plumule above the ground. Whichever pattern of germination occurs, the energy and raw materials required for growth comes from the food stored in the cotyledons. Now, you are aware of the basic structure of seed. Let us now take an example of dicotyledonous non-endospermic seed, that is a bean seed. Let us study it in detail.
Structure of a bean seed. Bean seeds are dicots or dicotyledons. The outer covering of a bean seed is called the seed coat. Seed coat helps to protect the seed. As you can see here, the outer surface of the seed shows a scar or mark of attachment with the seed stalk. It is called hilum. It is identified as a scar on the inner curve of the bean. At one end of the hilum is a small pore called micropyle. It is through the micropyle that the seed absorbs water and allows diffusion of gases. If we observe the internal structure of the bean seed, the seed coat is two-layered. The outer seed coat is called testa. It is hard and leathery. Inner seed coat is called tegmen. The cotyledons are two large parts of the bean seed that take up most space within the bean. These serve as food storage for the young bean plant until it grows large enough to support itself. In the middle of the two cotyledons is a tiny embryo waiting to grow. The embryo is an immature plant from which a new plant will grow. The embryo is an infant plant made up of two parts, plumule or the first leaves and the radicle or the first root. The plumule is the embryonic shoot. It gives rise to aerial shoot. The radicle is the embryonic root. It gives rise to the primary root.
Students, when water enters the micropyle, the radicle starts growing and moves out through the micropyle and down into the soil. Then the plumule swells, pushing its way through the testa and grows upwards through the soil until it reaches the light. विद्यार्थियों, बीन दे डाइकोटिलिडनस नॉन एंडोस्पर्मिक सीड बारे जानन तो बाद चलो हुण मोनोकोटिलिडनस एंडोस्पर्मिक सीड दे स्ट्रक्चर बारे जानते हाँ। इस टाइप दे सीड दा एक कॉमन एग्जाम्पल है मेज ग्रेन। Maize is basically a monocotyledonous plant. During germination, a single long stalk develops from the seed. Corn kernels or seeds vary in size and shape in different varieties. They may be only about 1/8 of an inch in length and near round shape as in sorghum, that is jowar, to half an inch long flattened cylinder shape in maize. Now let us discuss the structure of a maize seed.
Structure of maize grain. A maize grain consists of pericarp, embryo and endosperm. In dry maize grain, seed coat and pericarp are fused together. If we focus on the internal structure of a maize grain, we can clearly observe the endosperm shown here. 1/3 of the total volume of the endosperm consists of food reserves in the form of starch. This provides food for germination. The embryo is the miniature plant structure that develops into a new plant if the seed is planted. The endosperm is surrounded by a special one-cell thick layer called aleurone layer. The embryo consists of an upper shield-shaped scutellum, which is actually a reduced cotyledon. It is closely pressed against the endosperm and helps in translocation of nutrients from the endosperm to the growing embryo at the time of germination and seed growth. The scutellum is attached laterally to the embryonal axis. One end of embryonal axis, which faces the broader end of the grain, is called plumule. It consists of a shoot tip and few rudimentary leaves. The plumule is surrounded by a conical protective sheath called the coleoptile. It is capable of growth and covers the growing tip till it passes through the soil during germination. Radicle lies towards the narrow side of grain and is covered by a protective sheath called coleorhiza.
Students, this was about the structure of maize grain. After studying the structure of seeds, now let us quickly discuss how these seeds are dispersed from one place to another. Dispersal of seeds is a mechanism to establish the embryo bearing seeds in a suitable place away from their parental plants. Plants, being stationary, require a mobile mode for their seed dispersal. The seeds are the vital dispersal agent between successive generations of plants. People plant some seeds which are useful to them, but all plants can't depend on humans for the progression of their species. Plants also rely on animals, wind and water to help scatter their seeds. Dispersal of seeds is a very important and
necessary phenomenon
as it reduces competition between the parent plant and the seeds. It reduces overcrowding and provides opportunities to spread the plant to new localities. There are 4 major types of seed dispersal. These are wind dispersal, animal dispersal, self-dispersal and water dispersal. Based on the agencies, the dispersal of seeds and fruits may be of 2 types. Let us now discuss these types. Dispersal of seeds and fruits. Seeds ਜਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਆਪ ਪਲਾਂਟ ਦੁਆਰਾ ਜਾਂ ਐਕਸਟਰਨਲ ਏਜੰਸੀਜ਼ ਦੁਆਰਾ ਡਿਸਪਰਸ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਡਿਸਪਰਸਲ ਦੇ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਮੈਥਡਸ ਹਨ। ਆਟੋਕੋਰੀ ਔਰ ਸੈਲਫ ਡਿਸਪਰਸਲ, ਐਨੀਮੋਕੋਰੀ, ਹਾਈਡਰੋਕੋਰੀ, ਜ਼ੂਕੋਰੀ। ਚਲੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਟਾਈਪਸ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ-ਇੱਕ ਕਰਕੇ ਚਰਚਾ ਕਰੀਏ।
Autochory. If the dispersal is achieved only through devices that the plant itself produces or by plant itself, it is known as self-dispersal or autochory. It is actually mechanical dispersal. This method involves an explosion of the fruit, or we can say that the fruit opens with a jerk, which throws the seeds away from the fruit. Examples of plants that use this mechanism are pea and cucumber. The next type of dispersal method is anemochory. Dispersal of fruits and seeds through the agency of wind or air currents is called anemochory. Dispersal by wind is widespread among plants. The units for dispersal are necessarily very small and light, or equipped with specially formed devices for flying or floating, such as peppers in dandelion plant. These lightweight seeds are easily blown away to long distances by air currents or wind. Hydrochory means dispersal of seed with the help of water. The seeds and fruits of plants growing in or near water are dispersed through water. The seeds or fruits are dropped from the plant into the rivers, lakes, or seas. They, being less dense than water, float on water and are carried away from the parent plant where they germinate. The fibrous unit of Cocos nucifera, that is coconut, is capable of floating long distances in water without suffering any injury. The next type of dispersal method is zoochory. Dispersal of fruits and seeds through the agency of animals, including human beings, is called zoochory. In some cases, the fruits or seeds are provided with hooks, as you can see here in xanthium plant. The fruits or seeds stick to the passing animals. They stick to the skin, fur, or wool of the animals, either by slimy secretions or by hooks, and carried to some distance, as you can see here. This type of dispersal is also known as epizoochoric dispersal.
ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟਸ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸੀਡਸ ਆਪਾਂ ਖਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਅਤੇ ਇਹ ਐਕਸਕ੍ਰੀਟ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ ਤਾਂ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਐਂਡੋਜ਼ੂਕੋਰਿਕ ਡਿਸਪਰਸਲ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ. Dispersal through ants is known as myrmecochory. Such seeds or fruits bear lipid-rich attachments called eliosomes to attract ants and also contain nutrients. It is common with plants that live at the forest soil like viola. ਕੁਝ birds, squirrels ਅਤੇ human beings seeds ਦੇ dispersing ਲਈ useful agents ਹਨ ਅਤੇ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ fruits wider areas ਤੱਕ ਫੈਲਦੇ ਹਨ. So we can say that zoochory offers a variety of possible mechanisms for the dispersal of seeds. But this variety is far beyond that of the architectural design of flowers. This is due to the fact that specialization and adaptation to seed or fruit dispersing animals is far less advanced than the specialization of pollination. ਬੱਚਿਓ, ਅੱਜ ਲਈ ਇੰਨਾ ਹੀ. ਚਲੋ ਛੇਤੀ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਣੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਵਿਸ਼ੇ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਰਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰ ਲਈਏ. Seed is the reproductive structure in plants that consists of a plant embryo, usually accompanied by storage of food in endosperm, which are produced during fertilization and enclosed in a protective coat. Seed is a mature fertilized ovule. It consists of the seed embryo and the nutrient-rich tissue called the endosperm. The seed is protected and enclosed in a seed coat. The seed coat is two-layered. The outer seed coat is called testa. It is hard and leathery. Inner seed coat is called tegmen, is thin and membranous. The outer surface of seed shows a scar or mark of attachment with the seed stalk. It is called
Hilum.
At one end of hilum is a small pore, the micropyle. It is through the micropyle that seed absorbs water. Inside the seed is a tiny embryo surrounded by stored food. The embryo is differentiated into plumule and radicle. Seeds that possess a special food storage tissue called the endosperm are said to be albuminous or endospermic seeds. Those seeds which lack a prominent endosperm and store their reserves in large cotyledons are called Exalbuminous or non-endospermic seeds. Seeds ਦਾ dispersal ਜਾਂ ਤਾਂ plant ਆਪ ਹੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ ਜਾਂ external agencies ਰਾਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ. डिस्पर्सल दे डिफरेंट मैथड्स हैं ऑटोकोरी, एनिमोकोरी, हाइड्रोकोरी, zoocory. If the dispersal is achieved only through devices that the plant itself produces or by plant itself, it is known as self-dispersal or autocory. Hydrocory means dispersal of seed with the help of water. The seeds and fruits of plants growing in or near water are dispersed through water. So students, enough for today. Let us quickly check with some short questions what you have grabbed today. Be attentive. Here are some questions. Question: what is a seed? Answer: seed is the reproductive structure in plants that consists of a plant embryo, usually accompanied by storage of food in endosperm, which are produced during fertilization and enclosed in a protective coat. And the next question is, which part of a seed do we call
apicotyl?
And the answer to this question is, the portion of the embryo above the point of attachment of cotyledons to embryo axis is called
apicotyl.
Let us switch on to the next question. What do we mean by albuminous seeds? Give examples also. Answer is, seeds that possess a special food storage tissue called the endosperm are said to be albuminous seeds. For example, maize, wheat and castor seeds. The next question is, what are exalbuminous or non-endospermic seeds? And the answer is, those seeds which lack a prominent endosperm and store their reserves in large cotyledons are called exalbuminous or non-endospermic seeds. Most legumes like beans and peas have large cotyledons due to storage of food. Next question is, list the common methods of seed and fruit dispersal. And dear students, answer to this question is, different methods of dispersal are autocory, anemocory, hydrocory and zoocory. Let's see what is the next question. And the next question is, define autocory and give example of this type of dispersal. Answer is, if the dispersal is achieved only through devices that the plant itself produces or by plant itself, it is known as self-dispersal or autocory. Examples of plants that use this mechanism are pea and
cucumber.
Now let us see what is the next question. Next question is, what is zoocory? And students, answer to this question is, dispersal of fruits and seeds through the agency of animals, including human beings, is called zoocory. Seeds of xanthium plant disperse by this method. ਬੱਚਿਓ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਉਮੀਦ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਚੰਗੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਸਮਝਾਉਣ ਲਈ ਸਕਸੈਸਫੁਲ ਅਟੈਂਪਟ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ। ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਧਿਆਨ ਦੇਣ ਲਈ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ। ਫਿਰ ਮਿਲਾਂਗੇ।